Hello gang, and welcome back to Alien Protocols. So when we look for hard data, nuts and bolts data on craft, there's nothing more solid, nothing more nuts and bolts, nothing that affects reality greater than when somebody dies because of contact with a supposed UFO. And I think it's very important to consider the reality here that perhaps these are not alien craft at all, that these are poorly constructed, poorly conceived military craft of another kind. And I think we can put the pieces together here, gang. When we look at the damage caused, and it's certain that these are caused by exposure to a unidentified aerial craft at 500 meters. That's a long distance. And I don't believe these are ET craft for a second. I believe, like the Cash Landrum incident in 1980, was from a poorly designed nuclear propulsion system. It was a nuclear rocket engine. They use them on submarines and aircraft carriers because they can be shielded decently. But in an aircraft where weight is a huge consideration, especially in an experimental craft, they can make a decision, an executive decision, that the danger to others is worth it for the scientific and military advantage. And that kind of cynical assessment from the concept of the construction of a craft is literally a criminal act. I believe these craft in these situations, they're getting exposed to high levels of electromagnetic fields, microwaves, and also gamma radiation. And I was thinking about this for a while. I was like, what is this? The doctors, some of them even thought it was a black ops program, some sort of lethal weapon. But I realized, with it being a combination of terahertz and gamma, both ionizing and non-ionizing, what was going on here was actually, part of it was for the anti-gravity system, and the other part was for the power system, to power the anti-gravity system, because it takes a lot of power to create the huge electromagnetic fields necessary for some of these experimental craft. And in order to generate that incredibly high level of power needed, there needs to be an onboard power system. And nuclear is the greatest power you can put in the smallest area that humans have mastered at this point. But the problem is, because they want it to fly, they can't put the appropriate level of shielding around this craft. And I think that's what happened with Cash Landrum with a nuclear propulsion engine, and that's what's happening with all of these patients with these new craft. And I think when you look at the description of the patients here, I think it's clear what's going on. This is the Rosetta Stone. The patients were all high-functioning individuals, many prodigious savants, most of whom carry high security clearance. They're members of special forces members of the intelligence community, employees of aerospace companies. Gang, I think you can put the pieces together here. These are all the components of a Black Project aircraft. And the negligent design that has put all these people at risk. And many people have died, and their families probably didn't even know. It was because of a negligent design of a craft. Sure, it's anti-gravity. It's out there somewhere, gang. The military's flying it for certain. But the gamma radiation and the microwave exposure is the key, because the microwave exposure is obviously the anti-gravity portion, and then the gamma rays is from the poorly shielded energy system. Anyway, gang, let's find out what this craft looks like, and I have a sneaking suspicion you'll see designs that range from triangle in the early 2000s to other smaller shapes now. Anyway, these are not to be confused with real craft that are ETs, that are clean and don't injure people at 500 meters. And we shouldn't confuse the ETs with being dangerous because of this. Anyway, much love to you and yours.